Before we dive in, please remember that I am not a licensed financial advisor or insurance agent. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The information provided is based on extensive research and personal experience, but it is not a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified and licensed professional before making any financial decisions, especially concerning your insurance coverage. Your individual needs, state regulations, and circumstances are unique, so what works for one person may not work for you. You are being tracked. Right now, if you have car insurance in the United States, there's a very good chance your insurer already knows where you live, what car you drive, your age, your gender, your marital status, and even your credit score. They feed all this into a complex algorithm to come up with a number, your premium. And for decades, we've just accepted it. We've accepted that this number, based on broad categories and statistics, is the price of being on the road. We get the bill, we feel that little sting of it going up again, we pay it, and we move on. But what if I told you that entire system is a relic? An outdated, inaccurate, and frankly unfair way of doing business that is costing the average American driver over $400 every single year. What if I told you the real revolution in auto insurance isn't about finding a better agent or spending a weekend filling out online quote forms? The real revolution is in your pocket. It's on your phone. And it's powered by technology that can either be used against you, or you can use it to flip the entire script. You can use it to prove with cold, hard data that you are a safe driver and force these insurance giants to give you the rate you actually deserve. This isn't just a video about saving a few bucks. This is the ultimate guide to seizing control. This is your playbook for navigating the new world of auto insurance apps, telematics, and usage-based insurance, so you can stop being judged by a demographic and start being priced on what actually matters: how you drive. Over the next 10 parts, we are going to dismantle everything you thought you knew about car insurance. We will expose the secrets behind apps like Progressive's Snapshot, State Farm's Drive Safe and Save, Allstate's Drivewise, and Liberty Mutual's Right Track. We'll dive into the up-and-coming players like Root and Metromile that are trying to completely disrupt the industry. You will learn the single biggest mistake people make that can actually cause their rates to go up when they use these programs. You'll discover the hidden features within these apps that can be an absolute lifesaver in the chaotic moments after an accident. And you will get a step-by-step framework to determine which, if any, of these programs is right for you, and how to maximize your discount if you do decide to use one. The power has fundamentally shifted from the corporation to the consumer, but only for those who know how to wield it. By the end of this series, you will be one of them. So how did we get here? For 100 years, the auto insurance industry has operated on a simple, but deeply flawed, premise correlation. They couldn't know how you, John or Jane Smith, actually drove your car. So they looked for proxies. They looked for patterns in massive pools of data. They saw that, on average, drivers under 25 get into more accidents. So if you're 22, your rates are sky high even if you drive like a saint. They saw a correlation between lower credit scores and a higher number of claims. So, if you hit a rough patch financially, your insurance bill goes up, even if your driving hasn't changed one bit. Your zip code, the type of car you drive, whether you're married, it's all just guesswork. Educated guesswork based on billions of data points, but guesswork nonetheless. It's a system where good drivers in a bad demographic are forced to subsidize the risky drivers in a good demographic. It's fundamentally unfair. You could be the safest driver in your entire city, but if you live in a zip code with a high rate of car theft and you drive a model that's expensive to repair, you're paying a penalty for things completely outside of your control. For decades, we had no choice but to accept this. The technology to do anything else simply didn't exist on a mass scale. Then everything changed. A little device called the smartphone went from a luxury item to a near-universal accessory. And inside every single one of these phones are incredibly sophisticated sensors. A GPS to track location and speed, an accelerometer to measure acceleration and braking, and a gyroscope to detect motion and orientation. The insurance companies saw this. They realized they no longer had to guess. They could know. They could know if you're a heartbreaker. They could know if you accelerate like you're at a drag race. They could know if you're texting and driving if you're speeding, or if you're constantly on the road late at night when most serious accidents occur. This technology is called telematics. Think of it like a fitness tracker, but for your driving habits. And it is the single biggest disruption to the auto insurance industry in a century. It's the birth of what's called usage-based insurance, or UBI. The promise was simple and incredibly compelling. Let us monitor your driving, and if you're a safe driver, we'll reward you with a massive discount. Your rate will finally be based on you, not people like you. It sounds like a perfect win-win, right? The insurance company gets to more accurately price risk, reducing their losses from bad drivers. And you, the safe driver, finally get the discount you've always deserved. And for many people, that is exactly how it works. People are saving 10, 20, even 40% on their premiums, which can add up to thousands of dollars over a few years. But it's not that simple, because with this new technology comes a whole new set of questions and potential pitfalls. What data exactly are they collecting? How are they using it? Who do they share it with? What happens if you have one bad week of driving? Could this data be used against you in the event of a claim? Could it even be subpoenaed in a lawsuit? These are not just paranoid questions. They are critical considerations you must understand before you download a single app or plug any device into your car. Because making the wrong choice, or failing to understand the terms and conditions, can not only eliminate your discount, it could lock you into higher rates for years to come. This is the new battlefield. And the goal of this series is to arm you with the intelligence you need to win. We're not just going to read you the marketing brochures. We're going to dig into the privacy policies. We're going to look at real user reviews, the complaints filed with the Better Business Bureau, and the fine print that they hope you never read. We're going to explore the fundamental difference between the programs that use a plug-in device for your car's OBD2 port and the ones that are purely app-based on your smartphone. Each has its own significant pros and cons when it comes to accuracy, convenience, and privacy. We'll start by breaking down the 5 key metrics that nearly every single one of these apps tracks. Hard braking, rapid acceleration, mileage, time of day, and phone usage. You need to understand what these mean from an insurer's perspective. What counts as a hard braking event? How much can driving after midnight really penalize you? We'll translate their jargon into plain English so you know exactly what behavior to focus on to get the highest possible score and the biggest possible discount. This is a journey into the future of insurance, a future that is already here. It's a future where your actions, not your demographics, determine your price. It's a chance to take back control and stop overpaying. But it's a path that requires knowledge and strategy. You can't just download the app and hope for the best. You need a plan. And that's exactly what we're going to build together starting right now. But first, to truly appreciate the power of this new way, we have to fully understand the old way. We need to pull back the curtain on the traditional insurance model and see exactly why it's been failing safe drivers for so long. Understanding the enemy is the first step to defeating it. So let's talk about the enemy, the traditional auto insurance model. For over a century, it's operated on a single, powerful, and deeply flawed principle: prediction based on stereotypes. It's not about you. It has never been about you. It's about the statistical ghost of you. It's a system that judges you before you even turn the key in the ignition. Imagine a massive, ancient, smoke-filled room. In the center of this room is a giant, leather-bound book. This book is filled with charts, graphs, and endless columns of numbers. This is the holy text of traditional insurance. It's called an actuarial table. And for generations, actuaries, the high priests of this system, have used this book to decide how much you pay. They take a few scraps of information about you, find your chapter in the book, and point to a number. That number is your premium. You are not a person, you are a data point in a very old book. What are those scraps of information? They are the proxies, the stand-ins they use because they have no idea how you actually drive. And this is where the profound injustice begins. First and most famously, your age and your gender. Are you a 22-year-old male? The book says you are a high-risk adrenaline junkie, a menace in a metal box, even if you drive like a saint. Are you a 45-year-old woman? The book says you're probably cautious, responsible, shuttling kids to soccer practice, even if you have a secret lead foot. It's a caricature, a statistical cartoon, and you're paying for the sketch, not the reality. But it gets so much worse. Let's talk about your zip code. This is one of the most powerful and most infuriating factors in the entire equation. You could be the most defensive, cautious driver in the entire state of California. You follow every rule, you signal every turn, you leave 3 car lengths of space in front of you at all times. But if you happen to live in a dense Los Angeles neighborhood with a high rate of accidents and car theft, your premium will be sky high. You are paying a penalty for your neighbor's bad habits. You are subsidizing the chaos around you. The system looks at your address and says, you live in the danger zone. You must be dangerous. It doesn't matter that you've never had so much as a parking ticket. You are guilty by association. Your geographic destiny is sealed the moment you sign your lease. Then comes the real dagger. the one that feels like a personal attack because it is: your credit score. Now stop and think about that for a second. What does your FICO score have to do with your ability to safely merge onto a highway? What does a late credit card payment from 3 years ago say about whether you'll run a red light today? The insurance industry will give you a very polished, corporate-sounding answer. They'll say their data shows a strong correlation between financial responsibility and driving responsibility. People who pay their bills on time, they argue, are also more likely to maintain their vehicles and follow traffic laws. And on the surface, across millions of people, maybe there's a whisper of a statistical trend there. But for the individual, for you, it is a brutal and often nonsensical judgment. Maybe your credit score took a hit because of a medical emergency. Maybe it's low because you're young and have a thin credit file. Maybe you went through a divorce or a layoff. The insurance algorithm doesn't care about your story. It sees a number below 700 and flags you as a risk. You are being financially penalized on your car insurance for life events that have absolutely nothing to do with your driving. It is a tax on misfortune, a surcharge for being human in a complicated world. And the list goes on. Your marital status. Statistically, married people get into fewer accidents. So if you're single, you pay more. Why? Are you supposedly more reckless, distracted by the search for love? The logic is absurd when applied to an individual. Your level of education, your occupation, even the type of car you drive becomes a stereotype. Oh, you have a red sports car? The book says you must be a speed demon. It doesn't matter if you bought it for its design and you never push it over 65. The car's reputation precedes you, and you pay the price. This entire system is a black box. You feed your personal information into one end, your age, your address, your credit score, your marital status, and a number comes out the other end, your premium. You have no idea how the gears turn inside. You don't know the precise weight they give to your zip code versus your age. You're not allowed to see the formula. You are simply expected to accept their judgment, to accept the character they have written for you based on a handful of demographic data points. The fundamental, unshakable flaw of this century-old model is this: it is a system of guessing. It is a finely tuned, data-driven, statistically significant system of guessing. They are not insuring you. They are insuring a member of a risk pool. They lump you in with millions of other people who share a few of your characteristics, and they bet on the behavior of the group. If you're a 25-year-old male living in Miami with a 650 credit score, you are thrown into a giant pool with every other 25-year-old male in Miami with a 650 credit score. The company then calculates the total cost of accidents for that entire pool and divides it among the members. So if 100 other guys in your pool are reckless, texting while driving, and causing accidents, their behavior directly raises your rates. You are paying for their mistakes. You, the safe driver, are forced to subsidize the irresponsible. The system is incapable of seeing you as an individual. It only sees the pool you're swimming in. And if that pool is murky, you're going to pay more no matter how clean you are. This is why, for decades, safe drivers have been screaming into the void. But I've never had an accident. I have a perfect record. Why is my rate going up? The answer has always been the same. It's not about you. Your rates went up because your neighbors got into more accidents this year. Or because you celebrated a birthday that pushed you into a riskier age bracket. Or because the company's analysts decided that people with your model of car are now considered a higher risk. It is a system completely disconnected from the one thing that should matter most: your actual, real-world, on-the-road behavior. For the longest time, there was no alternative. This was simply how insurance worked. It was an unchangeable law of the financial universe. You could shop around, of course, hoping that another company's ancient, leather-bound book had a slightly more favorable chapter for you. But the underlying methodology was the same everywhere. They were all playing the same game of statistical stereotypes. They were all judging the cover because they had no way to read the book. But then something changed. A piece of technology that most of us already carried in our pockets became powerful enough to challenge the entire foundation of this old-world system. It held the promise of a new way. A way to finally prove who you are behind the wheel. A way to force the system to stop guessing and start knowing. What if you could break out of your statistical prison? What if you could show them second by second, mile by mile, exactly how safe you are? What if you could force them to judge you not by who they think you are, but by who you actually are? That's not just a fantasy. It's a technology, and it sparked a rebellion that's changing everything. This rebellion has a name: Telematics. It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but it's already in your pocket, in your car, and it's powered by a simple revolutionary idea. Your driving should determine your insurance rate. Not your age, not your zip code, not your credit score. Just you, the road, and the data that proves how you handle it. The technology itself isn't magic. It's actually an evolution of something that's been around for decades. Think about the black boxes in airplanes that record flight data. Now, shrink that concept down, make it incredibly smart, and put it to work for you. This is usage-based insurance, or UBI, and telematics is the engine that makes it run. It's a direct challenge to the old way of doing things, a system where insurers were forced to guess how risky you were. With telematics, the guessing is over. The proof is in the data. So how does it work? How does your insurer suddenly become your silent co-pilot, watching your every move? There are three main ways this technology gets into your life. The first, and the original, is the plug-in device. You might hear it called a dongle. It's a small gadget about the size of a pack of gum that you plug directly into your car's OBD2 port. Now, don't let the name scare you. This port is standard on every car made since 1996, and it's usually located right under the steering wheel. It's the same port your mechanic uses to diagnose a check engine light. You plug it in, it syncs up, and it starts talking to your insurance company, transmitting a constant stream of information about your car's behavior. This was the first wave of the rebellion. Simple, effective, but a little clunky. Some people felt like they were putting a corporate ankle monitor on their own car. That's why the second method became the real game changer, the smartphone app. This is where the industry is heading, and it's where most of the action is today. Companies like Progressive with its Snapshot app, State Farm with Drive Safe and Save, and Allstate with Drivewise realized something brilliant. The most powerful sensor package you own is the one you carry with you everywhere. Your phone. It has a GPS to track location and speed. It has an accelerometer to feel acceleration and braking. It has a gyroscope to sense orientation and swerving. By downloading an app, you give it permission to use these sensors to build a detailed profile of you as a driver. No hardware required. It's seamless, it's easy, but as we'll soon find out, it comes with its own set of very tricky questions. The third method is the future, and it's already here. It's the connected car. Newer vehicles from manufacturers like General Motors, Ford, and Tesla are rolling off the assembly line with this telematics technology already built in. It's part of the car's native operating system. With a few taps on your dashboard screen, you can authorize your car to send your driving data directly to an insurance partner. This is the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it version. It's the most accurate, the most integrated, but it also ties your insurance choices directly to the car you buy. Regardless of how the data gets from your car to the company, what they do with it is the same. They are watching. But what specifically are they looking for? It's not as mysterious as it sounds. They're grading you on a handful of key behaviors that are statistically proven to be the biggest predictors of a crash. First on the list, hard braking. We all have to do it sometimes. A kid runs into the street, the car in front of you stops short. But consistent hard braking tells an insurer a story. It says you're probably following too closely, not anticipating the flow of traffic, or simply not paying attention. To their algorithm, a hard brake is a near miss. And a lot of near misses means a crash is just a matter of time. The flip side of that coin is rapid acceleration. Flooring it from a stoplight might feel good, but to an insurance app, it's a bright red flag. It signals aggressive, impatient, and inefficient driving. It suggests you're more likely to take risks, to cut people off, to treat the road like a racetrack. It wastes gas, puts unnecessary strain on your car, and most importantly, reduces the time you have to react to the unexpected. Of course, they track your speed. This one's a no-brainer. But it's more sophisticated than just seeing if you go over the posted limit. They analyze your speed relative to the road you're on. Going 45 in a 35 is one thing. Going 45 in a 25 mph school zone is a completely different level of risk, and the apps know the difference. Here's one that surprises a lot of people: time of day. When you drive is almost as important as how you drive. The data is crystal clear. Driving late at night, especially between midnight and 4 a.m., is dramatically more dangerous. There's less visibility, you're more likely to be tired, and tragically, you're sharing the road with a higher percentage of impaired drivers. So, if you're a night owl or work the third shift, these programs might actually penalize you, even if your driving is otherwise perfect. And then there's the biggest one of all: the factor that has become the single greatest source of accidents in the modern world: phone use. This is the holy grail for insurance apps. They need to know if you're a distracted driver, and they are getting terrifyingly good at it. Using the sensors in your phone, the app can detect not just if you're holding the phone, but if you're actively tapping, swiping, or typing while the car is in motion. Some can even tell the difference between hands-free calls and handheld calls. In the eyes of an insurer, a driver texting is just as dangerous, if not more so, than a driver who's been drinking. And they grade you accordingly. So you install the app. You let it watch you. You drive like a saint. You brake gently, accelerate smoothly, obey the speed limit, stay off your phone, and you're tucked in bed by 10 p.m. The reward for all this? The promise of a massive discount. We're not talking 5%. The best programs advertise potential savings of 30, even 40% off your premium. For a young driver paying thousands of dollars a year, this isn't just a discount. It's a lifeline. It's the sound of fairness. It's the system finally recognizing your actual behavior instead of just your demographic profile. But there's always a but, isn't there? This technology, this rebellion, has a dark side. A side the insurance companies don't put in their cheerful commercials. First, the most terrifying question. Can this actually make your rates go up? You sign up for a discount, drive for a few months, and get an email saying your premium is increasing. Is that possible? The answer is a heavily qualified yes. While many major programs like Progressive's promise they won't raise your rates based on the data in most states, others absolutely will. If you sign up for their program and demonstrate risky behavior, they will use that data against you at your next renewal. You've handed them the very evidence they need to charge you more. It's a gamble. You're betting your real-world driving skill is better than their algorithms guess. Then there's the accuracy problem. These systems aren't perfect. What happens when your phone slides off the passenger seat and the app logs it as phone use? What happens when you have to slam on the brakes to avoid hitting a deer and the app docks you for hard braking? Are you penalized for being a passenger in a friend's car who happens to drive like a maniac? These false positives are a huge source of frustration for users. You're being judged by a robot in your pocket, and there's no one to argue with when it gets things wrong. And finally, we have to talk about the elephant in the room: privacy. You are giving an insurance corporation a minute-by-minute, GPS-tracked log of your life. They know your route to work. They know you visit your parents every Sunday. They know you stopped at the gym, the grocery store, and that suspicious-looking kebab place at 1 a.m. They are building the most detailed map of your habits and movements that has ever existed. And what are they doing with that data? They promise it's just for calculating your rate. But we live in a world where data is the new oil. It's incredibly valuable, and you're just giving it away in exchange for the possibility of a discount. So we have this incredible, powerful technology that promises to make insurance fair for the first time ever. It offers huge rewards for good drivers and a way to finally escape the tyranny of averages. But it also comes with a price. A risk of higher rates, the frustration of inaccurate readings, and a level of data collection that would make a spy blush. This leaves us with the ultimate question: is it worth it? The only way to answer that is to go beyond the theory and get into the real world. We need to name names. Which apps are the best? Which ones have the most accurate tracking? Which ones offer the biggest real-world discounts? And which ones are just data-hungry gimmicks with a nasty bite? We decided to find out. We took the top 5 auto insurance apps in the United States and put them to the ultimate head-to-head test. We drove thousands of miles through city streets and open highways, tracking every single data point. We documented the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. And now we're ready to reveal the raw, unfiltered results. The app that came out on top, and the one that landed at the very bottom, will absolutely shock you. Okay, let's rip off the Band-Aid. The single worst performing, most frustrating, and potentially most damaging app we tested was Drivewise from OmniShore. And the winner, the app that blew every single competitor out of the water, was one we almost didn't even test. But before we get to the champion, we have to dissect the loser. Because understanding why Drivewise failed so spectacularly is the key to protecting yourself from a bad deal, no matter who your insurer is. The promise of Drivewise is plastered all over their website. Your good driving rewarded. Save up to 40%. The setup process itself felt deceptively simple. Download the app, grant it a few permissions, and let it run in the background. Easy, right? Wrong. The first red flag wasn't a flag. It was a giant flashing neon billboard of a problem. The permissions. It didn't just want location access. While using the app, it demanded always-on location tracking. It wanted access to motion and fitness data, Bluetooth, and even notifications, which it framed as helpful driving tips. It felt less like an insurance app and more like a parole officer I had to carry in my pocket. But fine. For science for you, we agreed. We turned it on. And the first thing we noticed wasn't on the road. It was the battery life on our test phone, a brand new iPhone. It plummeted. On a typical day, the phone would end with about 45% battery. With Drivewise running silently in the background, we were hitting 10% by 3 p.m. The app was a vampire, constantly pinging GPS, constantly monitoring the accelerometer, and constantly draining our battery. That potential discount was already costing us in electricity and a shortened phone lifespan. But the real nightmare began when we started driving. Our first test was a simple commute, the same 20-minute drive through a quiet suburb we've done 1,000 times. Smooth acceleration, gentle braking, no speeding. A perfect trip by any human standard. We pulled into the driveway, opened the app, and saw our score C-. According to Drivewise, we had committed 3 major infractions. 1 harsh braking event, 1 instance of rapid acceleration, and a demerit for phone usage. Let's break this down. The harsh braking event? We cross-referenced it with our dashcam footage. It happened when a squirrel darted into the road. We slowed down safely and appropriately to avoid hitting it. The app didn't see a responsible driver preventing an accident. It saw a G-force spike and flagged us as reckless. The rapid acceleration? That was me merging onto a 55-mile-per-hour highway from a short on-ramp. You know, the one thing you are supposed to do to merge safely with traffic. The app penalized us for following the rules of the road. And the phone usage flag? This was the most infuriating. The phone was in a cradle, untouched, running Google Maps for navigation. The app's own terms of service say that hands-free navigation is perfectly fine. But because the screen was on, the algorithm decided we were texting and driving. It was a guilty until proven innocent system with no judge, no jury, and no way to appeal. We couldn't call Omnisure and say, "Hey, your robot is wrong. Check the dashcam." We just got a bad grade, and our potential discount shrank. Over the next 30 days, it only got worse. The app dinged us for driving late at night, which we had to do for a family emergency. It flagged a trip on a bumpy, pothole-filled road as aggressive driving. Its helpful tips became a stream of passive-aggressive notifications. Looks like we had a few hard stops today. Let's try to be smoother tomorrow. It felt like being constantly criticized by a machine that had zero understanding of reality. It was creating a profile of a terrible driver, when in fact we were driving more cautiously and safely than ever before, terrified of triggering the algorithm. After a full month of this digital torment, we got our final report. Our driving score was a dismal 62 out of 100. And the grand reward for letting this app track our every move, drain our battery, and falsely accuse us of being a menace on the road? Our projected discount was $7 a month. $7. But here's the terrifying part. When we called for a new quote as a new customer, with that driving data hypothetically attached to our profile, the premium they offered was 15% higher than our original rate. The data collected wasn't a tool for a discount. It was ammunition they could use to justify a rate hike. Using the Drivewise app was going to cost us hundreds of dollars a year. This experience wasn't just a fluke. The story of Drivewise is a perfect case study in the 3 cardinal sins of bad telematics programs. If you're considering one of these apps, you need to watch for these red flags like your financial life depends on it, because it does. The first cardinal sin is the black box algorithm. Think about it. You have no idea how you're actually being scored. What's the exact G-force that triggers a harsh braking event? Is it different on a wet road versus a dry one? Does the app know you're driving a heavy truck that brakes differently than a small sports car? You don't know. The insurance company keeps the exact formula a closely guarded secret. It's like taking a final exam where the teacher won't tell you what's on the test, and the grading is completely subjective. You are playing a game where the house not only sets the rules, but they can change them at any time without telling you. You can never truly win. The second and arguably most important sin is context blindness. The app has data, but it has zero context. It can measure your speed, but it doesn't know if you're in a 25-mile-per-hour school zone or on a 70-mile-per-hour interstate. It can detect a sudden stop, but it can't tell the difference between you slamming on the brakes to avoid hitting a child who ran into the street and you recklessly tailgating someone and braking at the last second. In the first scenario, you're a hero. In the second, you're a hazard. To the app, both events are identical. It's a stream of numbers, completely divorced from the real world. These programs punish you for making safe, defensive driving decisions in an unpredictable world. all because the computer can't understand nuance. And that leads to the third and most deceptive sin, the illusion of control. These apps are marketed to you as a tool of empowerment. Take control of your insurance rates. Let your good driving save you money. But in most cases, the reality is the exact opposite. You are not gaining control, you are surrendering it. You are handing over a mountain of personal data to a company whose entire business model is based on assessing and pricing your risk. Every trip you take, every mistake you make, every single data point is collected and can be used against you. A perfect score might save you a few bucks, but a few out-of-context errors can give them the justification they need to jack up your rates or even decline to renew your policy. It's a one-way street. The potential reward is small, but the potential risk is enormous. You are giving them the stick to beat you with. So if that's the nightmare scenario, a system that's opaque, unfair, and designed to work against you, what does the dream look like? What happens when a company actually gets it right? Well, the app that took our #1 spot, the one that shocked us with its accuracy, its user experience, and its results, didn't just avoid these 3 cardinal sins. It completely flipped the script on the entire concept. The way it works is so fundamentally different, so much more driver-friendly, that it has the potential to change the entire insurance industry. And we're breaking down every single detail of it right after this. So what is this game-changing idea? It's called pay-per-mile insurance. And I know that might not sound like a revolution, but stick with me, because the philosophy behind it completely dismantles the one-size-fits-all model we've been forced to accept for a century. Think about your current auto insurance. You pay a flat rate every 6 months. Let's say it's $900. That $900 is based on a massive pile of statistics. Your age, your gender, your zip code, your credit score, the car you drive, your driving record. It's all put into a giant algorithm that spits out a number. That number assumes you drive an average amount, usually somewhere between 12 and 15,000 miles a year. But what if you're not average? What if you're one of the millions of Americans who now works from home? What if you live in a city with great public transit and only use your car for weekend errands? What if you're a retiree who no longer has a daily commute? In all those cases, you are paying the same premium as someone who drives 2, 3, or even 5 times more than you do. You are subsidizing their risk. You are paying for miles you never drive. It is, when you really think about it, fundamentally unfair. Pay-per-mile insurance looks at that broken model and says, let's fix it. The concept is brilliantly simple. You pay a very low flat monthly base rate, which covers your car while it's parked, against theft, vandalism, falling tree branches, you name it. That's your comprehensive coverage. Then, you pay a few cents for every single mile you actually drive. That's it. Your bill is composed of 2 parts, a base rate plus a per-mile rate. Suddenly, your insurance bill is directly, and I mean directly, tied to your actual usage. You have a month where you barely leave the house? Your bill will be incredibly low. You take a big road trip? Your bill will be higher, but it will accurately reflect the increased time you spent on the road, and therefore the increased risk. You are in complete control. Now, the first question everyone asks is, how do they know how many miles I'm driving? This is where the technology and the app come into play. When you sign up, the company sends you a tiny device about the size of a pack of gum. This device is called a telematics dongle, and it plugs into your car's OBD2 port. Don't let the technical name scare you. Every car made since 1996 has this port. It's usually located under the dashboard, right above your pedals. It's the same port your mechanic plugs their computer into to figure out why your check engine light is on. Installation takes, and I'm not exaggerating, about 5 seconds. You just plug it in. This little device has a GPS and a cellular connection. It securely transmits your mileage data to the insurance company's servers. And then the app on your phone becomes your command center. You can open the app at any time and see exactly how many miles you've driven, what each trip cost you, and what your estimated bill will be for the month. No surprises, no guesswork. It's transparent. Let's put some real numbers to this to see the power of the model. Let's invent a driver. We'll call her Jessica. Jessica lives in the suburbs of Austin, Texas. Before 2020, she had a 45-minute commute to her downtown office every day. She was driving about 15,000 miles a year and paying a pretty standard $160 a month for her insurance. Now Jessica's company has gone fully remote. Her commute is a 10-second walk from her bedroom to her home office. She uses her car for groceries, to go to the gym, and to visit friends on the weekend. Her annual mileage has plummeted from 15,000 to just 4,000 miles a year. But her old insurance company? They still want to charge her $160 a month because their model hasn't caught up with her new reality. So Jessica switches to a pay-per-mile plan. Her new provider gives her a base rate of $45 a month. That's her fixed cost. Then they charge her 7 cents per mile. Let's do the math. She drives about 333 miles a month now. So 333 miles times 7 cents is $23.31. Add that to her base rate of $45. Her new monthly bill is $68.31. Let that sink in. She went from paying $160 a month to just over $68 a month. That's a savings of more than $90 every single month. Over the course of a year, she is saving over $1,000. Why? Because she stopped paying for miles she wasn't driving. She's now paying a price that is fair and accurate for her lifestyle. Okay, I can hear the gears turning in your head. I know the next big concern, the elephant in the room, privacy. A device that tracks my car's location? Isn't that a little big brother? It's a valid concern. And it's the single biggest hurdle for people considering this type of insurance. So let's be crystal clear about what is and what is not being tracked. With a pure pay-per-mile service, the company's primary interest is in one thing and one thing only: the number of miles you drive. They are not, and I repeat, not monitoring your driving behavior. They don't care if you accelerate quickly from a stoplight. They don't track hard braking. They don't penalize you for driving late at night. Their business model is built on how much you drive, not how you drive. This is the fundamental difference between pay-per-mile and the other type of telematics insurance we'll discuss later, called usage-based insurance. These companies have extensive privacy policies, and the data transmitted is encrypted and secure. Their entire business would collapse if they were found to be misusing customer data. For most of them, your detailed GPS data is used to log your trips in the app for your benefit, and is then aggregated and anonymized. The only thing that truly matters for your bill is the final mileage count. But the benefits of this technology go way beyond just calculating your bill. The app turns your phone into a smart car assistant. Because the device is plugged into your car's brain, the OBD2 port, it can do some amazing things. For example, if your check engine light comes on, the app can often tell you the diagnostic code and what it means in plain English. It might say, error code P0420, issue with your catalytic converter. This can save you a $50 or $100 diagnostic fee at the mechanic. The device also has a built-in GPS, which means the app almost always has a Find My Car feature. If you've ever forgotten where you parked in a giant airport garage or a sprawling mall parking lot, this feature is a lifesaver. And on a more serious note, if your car is ever stolen, this GPS tracking can be a game changer for police, dramatically increasing the chances of recovering your vehicle. The app also keeps a detailed log of all your trips. You can see a map of your route, the start and end time, the duration, the distance, and the cost of the trip. This is incredibly useful for business professionals who need to track mileage for tax deductions or expense reports. It's all done automatically. Now, to be completely balanced, pay-per-mile is not the perfect solution for everyone. There is a break-even point. If you are a supercommuter, a delivery driver, or a salesperson who lives on the road, this model might actually be more expensive than a traditional plan. If you drive, say, 25,000 miles a year, that per-mile cost is going to add up very quickly and likely exceed what you'd pay for an unlimited mileage traditional policy. The sweet spot is typically for people who drive under 10,000 miles per year. And what about road trips? That's another common question. If I take a 2,000-mile cross-country road trip, am I going to get a $500 insurance bill? The answer is no. Most pay-per-mile companies have a daily cap. They will only charge you for the first 250 miles you drive in any single 24-hour period. So if you drive 600 miles in one day, you still only pay for 250. This prevents you from getting penalized for the occasional long journey. It's a crucial feature that makes the model viable for almost everyone. So, this model, this idea of paying for what you actually use, is a seismic shift. It's for the remote worker, the urbanite, the weekend adventurer, the retiree. It's for anyone who looked at their insurance bill and thought, this just doesn't feel right. It's about fairness, control, and transparency, all powered by a simple device and a powerful app on your phone. We've just seen how the quantity of your driving can completely transform your insurance bill. But what if the quality of your driving could save you even more? What if being a safe, smooth driver, the kind of driver who never tailgates, who brakes gently, who avoids late-night joyrides, could earn you deep discounts that traditional insurance companies can only dream of offering? That's where things get really interesting and really personal. It's the next evolution in smart insurance, and it's what we're diving into next. This technology is called telematics, or more commonly, usage-based insurance. Think of it as a pay-as-you-drive, or more accurately, a pay-how-you-drive model. For decades, insurance has been a game of averages. Insurers looked at your age, your gender, your zip code, your credit score, and the type of car you drive, and they placed you into a risk bucket with thousands of other people who looked just like you on paper. If that bucket had a lot of claims, everyone's rates went up. It didn't matter if you personally were the safest driver in your entire state. You were paying for the mistakes of strangers who just happened to share your demographic profile. Telematics shatters that model, puts the power squarely back in your hands. Instead of relying on broad statistics, the insurance company uses real-world data, your data, to build a precise, individualized picture of the actual risk you represent every time you get behind the wheel. So how does it work? Surprisingly simple. Most major insurers now offer a telematics program, and they typically give you two ways to participate. The first and most common is directly through their smartphone app. You download the app, enroll in the program, and the app uses your phone's built-in sensors, the GPS, the accelerometer, and the gyroscope, to monitor your driving habits. The second method, which is becoming less common but is still used by some companies like Progressive for their Snapshot program, is a small physical device, often called a dongle, that you plug into your car's OBD2 port. That's the little port under your steering wheel that mechanics use to diagnose engine problems. This device collects the data and sends it back to the insurer. Regardless of the method, the data points they're collecting are largely the same. They're looking for a handful of key behaviors that are highly correlated with accidents. First, heartbreaking. Are you constantly slamming on the brakes at the last second? That suggests you're following too closely or not paying attention. Second, rapid acceleration. Are you peeling out from every stoplight like you're in a drag race? That's a sign of aggressive, and therefore risky, driving. Third is cornering. Taking turns too fast can lead to a loss of control. They also track total mileage. The less you drive, the less you're exposed to risk, and the bigger your discount can be. This is a huge win for remote workers, retirees, or anyone with a short commute. Then there's the time of day. Driving between midnight and 4 a.m. is statistically far more dangerous due to drowsy drivers, impaired drivers, and lower visibility. The app takes note if you're consistently on the road during these high-risk hours. And finally, the most controversial one, phone usage. Many of the most advanced apps can now detect if you're handling your phone, texting, scrolling, or talking without a hands-free device, while the car is in motion. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You want me to install a spy in my car so my insurance company can watch my every move? It's a valid concern, and we will absolutely tackle the privacy issue head-on in a minute. But first, you need to understand the payoff because it is massive. The primary benefit is, of course, the discount. For the first time ever, your good habits directly translate into dollars back in your pocket. We're not talking about a few pennies here. Most programs offer an immediate discount of 5 to 10% just for signing up. From there, based on your driving score over a review period, you could earn a total discount of up to 40% off your premium. Let me repeat that, 40%. For a policy that costs $2,000 a year, that's an $800 savings. You are finally being rewarded for being a safe, responsible driver, instead of subsidizing the reckless ones. But the benefits go far beyond just the discount. Many of these programs come with powerful built-in safety features. The most important one is automatic crash detection and response. Imagine you're driving on a quiet country road late at night. A deer jumps out, you swerve, and your car ends up in a ditch, hidden from the road. You're injured, dazed, and can't reach your phone. With the telematics app running, the sensors in your phone would detect the sudden, violent impact. Within seconds, the system can automatically alert an emergency response center, transmitting your exact GPS coordinates. A trained operator will try to call you, and if you don't answer, they are dispatching police and paramedics to your location immediately. That feature alone can be the difference between life and death. On top of that, these apps provide incredible feedback. You get a detailed breakdown of every trip, a driving score, and specific tips on how to improve. It gamifies safe driving, turning it into a challenge to beat your own high score. Some, like Allstate's Drivewise, even give you reward points you can redeem for gift cards and merchandise just for driving well. And if you're using a plug-in device, it can often read your car's diagnostic codes, alerting you to potential engine trouble or a dying battery before you end up stranded. It's like having a co-pilot, a safety net, and a mechanic all rolled into one app. All the major players are in this space. Progressive has Snapshot, arguably the most well-known program. State Farm has Drive Safe and Save, which uses a small Bluetooth beacon you stick in your car to work with the app. Allstate has Drivewise. Liberty Mutual has RightTrack. Nationwide has SmartRide. And newer, tech-first companies like Root and Metromile have built their entire business model around this concept. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Privacy. The big brother factor. Are you trading your privacy for a discount? The honest answer is yes, you are. But let's put it in perspective. Your smartphone is already a tracking device. Google Maps, Waze, Facebook, Instagram, your weather app, they are all collecting location data on you, often 24/7. The crucial difference here is that with telematics, you are entering into a transparent voluntary agreement where you are being compensated for the specific data you share. The insurance companies are very clear about what data they collect and how they use it to calculate your driving risk and your premium. They aren't listening to your calls or reading your texts. They aren't selling your individual trip data to marketing companies. And you have the choice to opt out at any time. However, there is a catch you need to be aware of. While most companies promise your rate won't go up based on the data, this isn't universally true. In some states and with some carriers, if the app reveals that you are a genuinely high-risk driver, consistently speeding, braking hard, and using your phone, your rate could actually increase at your next renewal. It's designed to reward good drivers, but it can also expose and penalize bad ones. It's a double-edged sword. Furthermore, the system isn't perfect. It can't always understand context. That heartbreaking event it dinged you for? That was you avoiding a dog that ran into the street. The app just sees a bad data point. The phone use it detected? That was your passenger changing the music. And if you live and drive in a chaotic, stop-and-go city like Boston or Los Angeles, your driving score will almost certainly be lower than someone who primarily drives on wide-open suburban roads, which can feel unfair. So, usage-based insurance is a trade-off. It's a deal. You provide access to your driving data, and in return, you get the potential for profound savings and life-saving features. It represents the ultimate personalization of an industry that, for a century, has treated you like a statistic. Your rate is no longer based on who you are, but on how you drive. So, you've weighed the pros and cons, and you've decided that an extra $800 in your pocket is worth it. You've downloaded the app, and you're ready to prove you're the safe driver you've always known you are. But how do you actually win this game? How do you master the telematics system to consistently achieve that maximum discount? It's not just about avoiding crashes. There are specific, repeatable techniques and little-known secrets to getting a perfect or near-perfect driving score. And that's exactly what we're breaking down next. The 7 essential hacks to game the system, legally of course. Hack number 1. Master the velvet start. Think of your car's accelerator pedal not as an on-off switch, but as a dimmer for a light. Most people, when the light turns green, give it a good press. Not a floor-it press, but a definite, assertive push to get going. To the app, that's a jackrabbit. The accelerometer in your phone spikes, the algorithm flags it as aggressive acceleration, and you lose points before you've even crossed the intersection. The velvet start is the opposite. You apply pressure to the gas pedal so gradually, so smoothly, that a passenger holding a full cup of coffee wouldn't spill a single drop. We're talking about imagining there's an egg between your foot and the pedal. Your goal is to get to the speed limit, but to do so with such gentle, linear progression that the app barely registers the change in momentum. The first 5 seconds of your movement from a dead stop are the most heavily scrutinized. The algorithm is asking, is this person a calm, predictable driver, or are they impatient? By mastering the velvet start, you answer that question perfectly every single time. It feels unnaturally slow at first, but it's the single biggest key to starting every trip with a perfect score. Hack number 2 is the mirror image. The feather brake. Harsh braking is the arch nemesis of a good driving score. It's the easiest way to tank your rating in a split second. Why? Because to an insurance algorithm, a hard brake equals a near miss. It assumes you weren't paying attention, you were following too closely, or you misjudged the situation. The secret isn't just to press the brake pedal softly. The secret is to start braking long before you think you need to. This requires a fundamental shift in your driving awareness. You need to be looking a quarter mile down the road, not just at the car in front of you. See a stale green light way up ahead? Assume it will turn yellow. Don't wait for the brake lights of the car in front of you to be your cue. Instead, lift your foot off the accelerator the moment you anticipate a slowdown. Let the car's natural deceleration do most of the work. Then when you do need to apply the brake, you're just gently feathering it to come to a smooth, elegant stop. Think of it as landing a plane, not docking a boat. You want to glide to a halt. This one habit alone, anticipatory braking, will eliminate virtually all harsh braking events from your record. Hack number 3. Deconstruct the corner. This is where the app's G-force sensor gets you. You might think you're taking a turn at a perfectly reasonable speed, but that little gyroscope in your phone disagrees. It feels a sharp lateral G-force, flags it as aggressive cornering, and dings your score. To beat this, you need to rethink the geometry of a turn. Don't just follow the curve. Instead, you deconstruct it. As you approach a 90-degree turn, slow down far more than you normally would. We're talking almost a crawl. Then take the widest, most gentle arc possible. Imagine you're trying to turn a massive 18-wheeler. You want to smooth out the curve, turning a sharp L shape into a soft, rounded C shape. This minimizes the lateral forces and keeps the G-force sensor happy. It will feel absurdly slow, and cars behind you might get impatient, but you're not driving for them, you're driving for the algorithm. A good rule of thumb: if you can feel your body being pushed to the side of your seat, you're taking the corner too fast for the app. Your goal is to feel absolutely no lateral pull whatsoever. Okay, this next one is the most important of all. Hack number 4. The phone in purgatory. Phone distraction is the new drunk driving in the eyes of insurance companies, and their apps are ruthless about it. Touching your phone, moving it, even a significant screen light up can trigger a negative event. The only way to win this is to remove the temptation entirely. This isn't about willpower. It's about engineering your environment. Before you put the car in drive, your phone goes into purgatory. This could be a designated spot it never leaves, like a closed center console, or even better, the glove box. Once it's in there, it does not come out until the car is in park with the engine off. No checking a text at a red light. No adjusting the GPS. No skipping a song. If you absolutely need your phone for navigation, invest in a high-quality stationary mount. Put the phone in the mount, set your destination, and then you do not touch it again. Period. The algorithm detects handheld use through a combination of screen interaction, gyroscope movement, and speed. By physically separating yourself from your phone, you make it impossible to fail this category. You are essentially tricking yourself into perfect behavior, which is the easiest way to trick the app. Hack number 5 is about gaming the averages. I call it the highway dilution method. Most of your negative marks, the harsh brakes, the quick accelerations, the sharp turns, happen during complex city driving. A short 2-mile trip to the grocery store can be a minefield of potential score-killing events. A long 50-mile drive on a straight, open highway, however, is a goldmine for perfect scores. The hack is to use the latter to cancel out the former. The apps calculate your score based on an average over a certain period or mileage. So, if you know you had a bad trip with a few hard breaks in stop-and-go traffic, you can dilute that bad data. The next day, or even later the same day, take a long, boring drive on the interstate. Put on the cruise control, stay in one lane, and just rack up the miles. Every single mile you drive perfectly on that highway is like adding a cup of pure, clean water to a muddy glass. It dilutes the bad events and raises your overall average score. It's a conscious strategy to pad your stats with easy, high-scoring miles, effectively burying your few mistakes under an avalanche of perfect driving data. Hack number 6 is the time traveler's trick. It's not just how you drive, but when you drive. Insurance apps have a built-in bias against what they consider high-risk periods. The most obvious one is late-night driving. For many apps, driving between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. carries an automatic penalty, no matter how perfectly you drive. The algorithm associates these hours with fatigue, impaired driving, and higher accident rates. The hack is simple: avoid it. If you have to be out late, try to wrap up your driving before that penalty window kicks in. Leaving a friend's house at 10:45 p.m. instead of 11:15 p.m. can make a real difference to your score. The same principle can apply to other high-risk times, like peak rush hour. While not always penalized directly, the dense traffic, constant stopping, and unpredictable nature of rush hour make it far more likely you'll have a harsh braking or acceleration event. If you have flexibility in your schedule, shifting your commute by just 30 minutes earlier or later can move you out of the peak chaos and into a smoother, more score-friendly driving environment. You're essentially time traveling to a lower risk, higher score reality. Finally, hack number 7, the calibration cruise. This is an advanced move for when you first install the app or start a new review period. The first few days of data are critical because the algorithm is building its initial profile of you. It's forming its first impression. You want that impression to be that you are the safest, smoothest driver on the planet. So for your first 3 to 5 trips with the app active, don't just drive your normal routes. Instead, go on a calibration cruise. Pick a time like a quiet Sunday morning, and a route you know is simple. A long straight road with few stops, or a gentle winding country road with no traffic. On this drive, you will consciously execute all the other hacks perfectly. You'll use the velvet start, the feather brake, and deconstruct every corner. Your phone will be in the glove box. You'll drive like you're chauffeuring the president. By feeding the algorithm a sample of utterly flawless data right at the beginning, you establish a very high baseline. This can potentially make the system more forgiving of minor mistakes later on. You're setting the bar for who you are as a driver in the app's mind. You're making a powerful first impression on the AI that judges you, and just like in the real world, a good first impression can make all the difference. So now that you've established this baseline, this digital driving persona, what happens next? You've been on your best behavior, and maybe you've even seen a little discount. The app is working, but this is where the story takes a turn. Because while you've been focused on your driving, the app has been focused on something else entirely: data. And not just a little bit of data. We are talking about a fire hose of information, a constant stream of your life, fed directly into the servers of a multi-billion-dollar corporation whose primary goal is to minimize its financial risk. You are its financial risk. Let's pull back the curtain on what's really being monitored, because it goes far beyond a few hard stops. The app on your phone is a sophisticated surveillance device. It knows your location with pinpoint GPS accuracy, not just when you're driving but often 24/7. It knows the routes you take to work, where you buy your groceries, what time you drop your kids off at school, and what time you get home at night. It knows if you drive late on a Saturday, a time statistically associated with higher accidents. It knows if you travel through neighborhoods they deem high risk. And then there's the phone itself. The gyroscopes and accelerometers are monitoring every twitch and turn. But more importantly, they are monitoring your phone usage. Are you touching the screen? Are you taking a hands-free call versus a handheld one? The app can often distinguish between the two. It's building a pattern, a profile of you that is breathtakingly detailed. You're not just giving them driving data. You're giving them your life's data. You're handing over the keys to your daily patterns, your habits, your private movements. And all of this information is fed into a proprietary algorithm, a complex mathematical formula that you will never, ever be allowed to see. This is the black box of telematics. It's a secret recipe. The insurance company tells you they look at braking, acceleration, cornering, speed, and time of day. But they don't tell you the waiting. Is one heartbreaking event worse than driving 5 miles per hour over the speed limit for 10 minutes? Is driving at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday considered as risky as driving at 11 p.m. on a Friday? You don't know. Is the algorithm more lenient in a city like New York, where hard braking is a daily necessity, than in rural Iowa? You have no way of knowing. You are being judged by a secret formula that has a direct impact on your finances, and you have zero input and zero transparency into how it works. This lack of transparency leads to the single biggest problem with these apps: misinterpretation. The AI is smart, but it's not human. It lacks context, sees data points, not real-world situations. Let's run through some scenarios that happen every single day. Imagine you're driving and your passenger, your spouse or your friend, picks up your phone to change the song or check directions. The app's sensor data just registers phone handling during a trip. It doesn't know it wasn't you. It flags you as a distracted driver. Strike one. Now imagine a child runs out into the street chasing a ball. You slam on the brakes, your tires screech, and you stop just in time. You're a hero. You just saved a life. But what does the app see? It sees a massive red flag heartbreaking event. The most severe kind. It doesn't see the child. It doesn't see the context. It just sees you as a reckless driver who brakes dangerously. Strike two. Let's say you drop your phone. It tumbles from the passenger seat into the footwell. The accelerometer inside goes haywire. To the app, that sudden violent jolt might look like a minor collision or an incredibly aggressive swerve. It logs a significant event. It doesn't know you just have clumsy hands. Strike three. What about where you live and work? If your daily commute involves navigating a busy downtown area with constant stop-and-go traffic, you are going to accumulate far more events, more braking, more accelerating, than someone who has a smooth 20-mile commute on a straight country highway. The app doesn't necessarily grade on a curve. It might simply see you as a more active, and therefore riskier driver, penalizing you for your geography. This is the fundamental flaw. The system is designed to find fault. It's a digital hall monitor that is incapable of understanding nuance. And every single one of these false positives, these misinterpretations, gets logged permanently against your digital driving record. You can try to contest them, and some apps have a feature for that, but you're arguing with a dataset. You're trying to explain the unexplainable to a customer service rep who is just looking at a red flag on their screen. But the danger goes even deeper than just an inaccurate score. What happens to all this data? The terms and conditions you scrolled past and clicked agree on are a legal labyrinth. In them, you've likely given the company broad permissions to use, share, and analyze your data. They might sell anonymized data to city planners or marketing firms. That's fairly benign. But what happens in an accident? Let's say you get into a fender bender that was clearly the other person's fault. Their insurance company could subpoena your driving data from your own insurer. And what if that data shows that, in the 5 minutes leading up to the accident, you were going 3 miles per hour over the speed limit? Or that you had a phone handling event 2 miles back? Suddenly, this data, collected under the guise of giving you a discount, is being used as a weapon against you in a legal proceeding to assign you partial fault, potentially costing you thousands. The very tool that promised to save you money could end up costing you a fortune. And we haven't even touched on data breaches. We live in an age where massive, sophisticated hacks are a weekly occurrence. Your insurance company is a prime target. Imagine a hacker gaining access to a database containing the daily travel patterns of millions of Americans. They'd know where you live, where you work, when your house is empty. It's a stalker's dream and a privacy nightmare. You traded your privacy for a potential 15% discount, but the true cost could be infinitely higher. Finally, there's the psychological toll. The constant feeling of being watched, of being judged by an invisible, unforgiving algorithm, changes the way you drive. You become a robot trying to please the machine. You might find yourself taking a longer route to avoid a busy intersection. You might hesitate to brake hard for a yellow light, potentially putting you in a more dangerous situation, just to avoid a ding on your score. You're no longer driving based on pure safety and instinct. You're driving for the app. This constant, low-level anxiety, this gamification of your daily commute, can be incredibly stressful. It turns the simple act of driving into a performance, and the audience is a silent, critical AI that could raise your rates at any moment. It paints a grim picture, doesn't it? A system that collects vast amounts of your personal data, judges you in secret with no transparency, often misinterprets your actions, and can potentially use that information against you. It seems like the deck is stacked entirely in the insurer's favor, but it's not a completely hopeless situation. Understanding these risks is the first step. The next step is learning how to navigate this digital minefield, how to protect yourself, and how to push back. There are specific strategies and little-known truths you can use to regain some control over your data and your score. And that's exactly where we're going next. The first move in this chess match isn't made in your car. It's made right now on the phone in your hand. Before you even turn the key, you need to perform what I call a digital pre-flight check. This is your first line of defense. Go into your phone settings, find the insurance app, and scrutinize its permissions like a detective examining a crime scene. The biggest one, location services. Most apps will demand that this is set to always on. They'll tell you it's necessary for the app to function. And while that's partially true, you need to understand what always on really means. It means the app can, and often does, ping your location even when you're not driving. It knows when you're at a bar. It knows when you're at a friend's house late at night. It knows you visited the doctor. They claim this data isn't used to rate you, but it's being collected, creating a pattern of your life that exists on their servers. The first strategic decision is whether you're comfortable with that. For some apps, you might be able to set it to while using the app, but be warned, this can sometimes lead to missed trips and a frustrated call with customer service. The key is to know what you're giving away from the start. Next, look at background app refresh. This is another sneaky one. With this enabled, the app can update and pull data in the background, consuming your battery and your data plan. But more importantly, it keeps the app's connection to its servers alive and well. Turning this off can sometimes, not always, but sometimes limit the secondary data it collects. You have to experiment. Toggle it off. See if the app still records your trips accurately. If it does, you've just closed one of their backdoors. Now let's talk about the game itself, the drive. You have to stop thinking like a human driver and start thinking like the algorithm. The algorithm is your digital co-pilot, and it's a terrible one. It has no eyes, no context, and no common sense. It only has data from your phone's accelerometer and GPS. Let's break down the 3 cardinal sins of telematics: hard braking, rapid acceleration, and speeding. Hard braking is the most common penalty. The app sensor feels a sudden, sharp change in momentum and flags it. It doesn't know a child just ran into the street. It doesn't know the car in front of you slammed on its brakes for no reason. It just sees a negative G-force event and docks your score. So how do you beat it? You have to become a predictive driver. Increase your following distance. Don't just double it, triple it. You need a buffer zone so massive that you can ease off the accelerator and coast to a stop instead of ever touching the brake pedal firmly. You have to anticipate traffic lights from a block away. See a yellow light? Don't speed up. That's a trap for both rapid acceleration and potential hard braking. Instead, your foot should immediately come off the gas. You're not just driving safely, you're driving smoothly, almost artificially so. Then there's rapid acceleration. The algorithm hates this. To the app, a quick start from a red light looks like aggressive, reckless driving. It doesn't see that you're merging onto a 65-mile-per-hour highway and need to get up to speed to avoid being rear-ended. It just sees a spike in positive G-force. The solution is what I call the 3-second rule. When the light turns green, mentally count 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, as you gently, almost painfully, apply pressure to the accelerator. You will feel like the slowest person on the road. People will honk at you, but the algorithm will think you're a saint. And speeding? This one is tricky. Most apps don't just track the posted speed limit. They often pull data from mapping services that know the average speed of traffic on that road. So if the speed limit is 55 but everyone is doing 65, going 60 might not even trigger a flag. Conversely, on a road where the limit is 45 but traffic is always slow, going the speed limit of 45 might actually be flagged as unusually fast for the conditions. The only way to win here is to stay at, or ideally just below, the posted speed limit at all times. Treat every speed limit sign as an absolute, unchangeable law. But here's the most critical part of the in-car strategy: cornering. This is the hidden score killer. The app's gyroscope and accelerometer measure lateral G-forces. Taking a turn too quickly, even at the speed limit, can trigger a hard cornering event. You have to approach every turn as if you're carrying a full uncovered pot of soup in the passenger seat. Slow down well before the turn, coast through the apex, and only accelerate gently once the wheels are straight. It's not how people normally drive, but it's how you get a perfect score. Now for the post-game analysis. This is where you regain control. Every single day, or at least every other day, you must open that app and review your trips. Don't just look at the score. Look at the individual trips. The app will show you a map of your route and pinpoint exactly where the events, the hard brakes, the accelerations occurred. And this brings us to the single most powerful tool you have, the dispute. Let's say the app flags you for hard braking, but you remember that's where your phone slid off the passenger seat and onto the floor. The accelerometer in the phone registered the drop as a braking event. Or maybe it flags an entire trip you didn't even take because you were a passenger in your friend's car, or in an Uber. Most drivers don't know this, but in almost every single one of these apps, there is a way to dispute a trip or an event. You go into the trip details and you look for an option that says, "This wasn't me," or "I was a passenger," or "Something's not right." Select it. The app will then ask for a reason. Be honest. "I was a passenger. The phone was dropped. GPS signal was lost in a tunnel and the data is incorrect." When you do this, that trip and all its negative events are often immediately removed from your driving score calculation. It's like it never happened. Making a habit of reviewing and disputing trips is the difference between a C+ score that gets you a 5% discount and an A+ score that gets you the full 30%. It is the single most important thing you can do. Finally, let's talk about the mental game. You have to understand the context. The app dings you more for events that happen late at night, between midnight and 4 a.m., because statistically, that's when more accidents happen. A hard brake at 2 p.m. might lower your score by 1 point. The exact same hard brake at 2 a.m. might lower it by 5. If you can, avoid driving during these high-risk hours while you're being monitored. Also, be aware of distracted driving features. If the app is tracking phone handling, you cannot touch your phone. Period. Don't pick it up to change the music. Don't pick it up to check a notification at a red light. The gyroscope knows. To the app, any movement of the phone is you texting and driving. Mount your phone on the dashboard before you start the car, and do not touch it again until you are parked. By combining these strategies, the pre-flight check of your settings, the algorithmic driving style, and the diligent post-drive review and dispute process, you are no longer a passive subject being watched. You are an active participant in the system. You are learning the rules of their game, a game they designed for you to lose, and you are using those rules to your advantage. But even after mastering their game, after achieving that perfect score and securing your discount, the ultimate power move is knowing when to walk away from the table. Because all of this effort might not even be worth it. What if the discount is a lie? What if the data is being used in ways we can't even imagine yet? Playing the game is one thing, but what about changing the game itself? The truth about your final discount, and the future of this entire industry, is far more complex than these companies want you to know. The final discount you receive isn't a number you earn, like points in a video game. It's a reflection of where you stand on a curve. A constantly shifting, algorithmically defined curve that compares you to every other driver in their system. Think about that. Your driving could be perfect for a month. No hard braking, no speeding, no late-night trips. But if 10,000 other drivers in your state were even more perfect, your discount could actually go down. You're not just playing against the house, you're playing against everyone else at the table, and the house is constantly changing the payout odds based on how the whole group is playing. This is the game-changing secret. The app isn't just a tool to measure your risk. It's a massive real-time data engine designed to measure and predict the risk of the entire population. They're not just giving you a grade, they're grading you on a curve so complex and with so many data points that it's impossible for any one person to fully understand. And this is where the future of insurance isn't just an evolution, it's a revolution. The data being collected today is the training ground for the artificial intelligence of tomorrow. Right now, they're just figuring out what a good driver looks like. But soon, this data will do far more than just set your premium. Imagine you're in a minor fender bender. The moment of impact, the sensors in your car and your phone log everything. The G-force, the speed, the angle of collision, the location. Before you even have a chance to get out of the car, a notification pops up on your app. It says, "We've detected a minor collision. Are you okay?" You tap yes. It then instructs you to take 3 specific photos of the damage with your phone's camera. You snap the pictures. An AI analyzes them instantly, cross-referencing the visual damage with the sensor data, identifying the parts that need to be replaced, checking a national database for the cost of those parts and local labor rates. Within 60 seconds, another notification appears. Claim approved. $753 is being transferred to your account. Here are 3 certified repair shops near you. That's not science fiction. That is the immediate, tangible future that this technology is building. No adjusters, no phone calls, no waiting for weeks. Just data, analysis, and resolution, all happening in the time it takes to exchange information with the other driver. This is the carrot, the ultimate convenience. But it goes even further. The entire model of insurance is shifting from being reactive to being proactive. For over a century, insurance has been a promise to pay you after something bad happens. The future is about preventing the bad thing from happening in the first place. The telematics in your car won't just track your driving habits. They'll monitor the health of your vehicle. You could get a notification that says, "Our sensors indicate your front left brake pad is at 10% life. This increases your stopping distance by an estimated 15 feet. Here's a 20% coupon for our partner mechanic down the street to get it replaced." They're not waiting for you to fail. They're helping you succeed. The app might analyze traffic and weather data for your daily commute and suggest, "Heavy rain is expected on your route home today. A historically high number of accidents occur on the I-5 in these conditions. We suggest this alternate route, which is 7 minutes longer but 40% safer." Insurance is no longer just a financial safety net. It's becoming a real-time co-pilot, a guardian looking over your shoulder. And this data will be connected. We're entering the era of V2X, or vehicle-to-everything communication. Your car won't just be talking to your insurance company. It will be talking to other cars, to traffic lights, to infrastructure. The car in front of you slams on its brakes, and your car receives the signal and begins to slow down before your foot even moves to the pedal. A traffic light knows you're approaching too fast to make the green and sends a signal to your car to gently decelerate, saving fuel and preventing you from running a red light. This interconnected web of data creates a system where accidents become increasingly rare. And in a world with fewer accidents, insurance becomes cheaper for everyone. This is the utopian vision these companies are selling. A safer, more efficient, and more convenient world, all powered by the data you willingly provide. But with every utopia, there's a potential dystopia lurking in the shadows. We've talked about privacy, but let's get specific. What happens when this data is combined with other data sets? Your health insurance company already has access to your smartwatch data. What if they partner with your auto insurer? Now they don't just know you braked hard. They know your heart rate spiked to 150 beats per minute right before it happened, suggesting panic or road rage. Your premium just went up. What if your app logs that you regularly drive past a bar district on Friday and Saturday nights? You could be the designated driver every single time, completely sober, but the algorithm doesn't know that. It just sees a pattern, a correlation with high-risk behavior in the larger population, and flags you as a higher risk. Your rates creep up and you have no idea why. And what about when this data is used beyond insurance? Could law enforcement subpoena your driving data to see if you were speeding 5 minutes before an accident? Absolutely. Could a lawyer in a civil suit use your entire driving history against you to paint you as a habitually reckless driver? You bet. We are creating a permanent record of every mile we drive, every mistake we make behind the wheel, and we're doing it for a 15% discount. The question is no longer just, can this technology save me money? The question becomes, what is the long-term cost of this constant surveillance? Where do we draw the line? When your car can pay for its own gas, or order its own replacement parts, it stops being just a machine you own and starts becoming an autonomous agent that generates data about you. An agent that you may not fully control. So, after all of this, what is the final verdict? Should you use these apps? The truth is, there is no single right answer. It comes down to a deeply personal calculation of value versus privacy. It's a trade-off. If you are a textbook perfect driver, you have a predictable commute, you rarely drive late at night, you treat speed limits as gospel, and you brake like there's a carton of eggs on your dashboard, then yes. These programs are almost certainly going to save you a significant amount of money. The data will prove what you already know, that you are a low risk. For you, the juice is likely worth the squeeze. My advice is to try the test drive or trial versions that many companies now offer. See what your driving looks like to them before you commit. However, if you cherish your privacy above all else, if the idea of a corporation logging your every move makes your skin crawl, then the savings may not be worth the psychological cost. If your driving is more spirited, or your schedule is unpredictable, requiring late-night drives or trips through high-risk areas, you may find yourself paying more than you would with a traditional policy. You might find yourself stressed out, constantly trying to game the system, which defeats the entire purpose of being a safe, natural driver. In this case, the old-fashioned way of setting rates based on your record, your age, your vehicle, and your location might still be the better, more predictable option. Ultimately, the rise of auto insurance apps isn't just about technology. It's a fundamental shift in our relationship with risk, privacy, and personal responsibility. We are at a crossroads. Down one path is a future of unprecedented safety and convenience, underwritten by a constant stream of personal data. Down the other is a more traditional approach that preserves privacy, but may miss out on the benefits of new technology. The choice is yours. But now you can make that choice with your eyes wide open. You understand the game, you know the players, and you see the future they are trying to build. The most important piece of technology in your car isn't the GPS or the engine. It's you, the conscious driver making informed decisions. Drive safe, stay informed, and choose wisely.